The cabin lights hummed softly as the last boarding call echoed through the narrow aisle, and a tired single father stepped onto the plane clutching a worn backpack and holding his young daughter's hand, unaware that this ordinary seat, taken in quiet desperation, was about to collide with a past powerful enough to stop a billionaire's breath. His shoulders carried the weight of years lived in survival mode, eyes trained to stay low, heart trained not to hope. He had taken the last seat on the plane because life had taught him that last was all he could ever afford, and as he settled into the cramped airplane seat, surrounded by strangers and recycled air, he had no idea that just a few rows ahead, a woman whose name ruled headlines would soon look at him and feel her world crack open. Before this story unfolds further, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in unseen struggles, to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Soul Tale, because stories like this remind us that hearts can change lives. The airplane interior felt like a floating capsule of divided lives, where first-class silence met economy-class fatigue, and where the single dad sat quietly, helping his daughter buckle her seatbelt with hands roughened by labor and loss. He had not slept the night before, replaying bills in his mind and rehearsing strength he no longer felt. The flight was supposed to be a turning point, a relocation, a fragile restart after years of scraping by since his wife's passing, after promises he made at a graveside that he would never give up. Around him, passengers scrolled screens and sipped drinks, but inside his chest was a storm of doubt, wondering if he had dragged his child too far on too little hope. He avoided mirrors, avoided reflections, because the man he once was, confident, educated, ambitious, felt like someone else entirely. Several rows ahead, separated by thin curtains and thicker privilege, the female billionaire sat in first class, poised and distant, her presence commanding without effort. She was used to private jets, to control, to power bending in her direction, yet something about this flight unsettled her. Perhaps it was the rare decision to fly commercial, or the ache she carried quietly beneath tailored success. Years ago, she had built an empire after a brutal personal collapse, hardening herself against emotion, convincing herself that survival required distance. As the plane finished boarding, she glanced back through the aisle, not expecting anything, not expecting him. And then she froze. Her breath caught because time folded in on itself, and the face she saw, older, thinner, lined with sacrifice, was unmistakable. It was the man who once stood beside her at the beginning of everything, the man who believed in her before investors did, the man she left behind when ambition demanded speed and love demanded patience. The airplane cabin suddenly felt too small for the memories rushing in, late nights dreaming of futures, hands sketching plans on napkins, promises whispered when neither of them had anything but belief. She had walked away without looking back, telling herself it was necessary, telling herself he would be fine. Seeing him now, squeezed into economy, protecting a child with quiet devotion, shattered the narrative she had built to survive. The single dad felt the shift before he understood it, a strange pressure in the air, like being watched. He looked up briefly, meeting her gaze for a fraction of a second, and recognition sparked and burned. He looked away immediately, not out of anger but out of humility. Life had taught him how small he had become in the eyes of the world, and he refused to let old ghosts reopen wounds he had stitched together with exhaustion. He focused on his daughter, on the soft rhythm of her breathing as the plane began to taxi, reminding himself that his purpose was here, that the past had no seat beside him anymore. As the plane climbed into the sky, the billionaire sat rigid, unable to escape the truth that success had insulated her from consequence but not from regret. She had everything money could buy, yet the sight of that man and his child exposed the cost of choices she never paid for. She remembered the day she chose a boardroom over a hospital room, the day she chose speed over staying, and the silence she left behind. Watching him now, still standing, still loving, despite everything life had taken, cracked something open inside her chest that no acquisition ever had. Hours passed suspended above clouds, and the cabin became a confessional without words. The single dad stared out the window, thinking about how far he had come and how far he still had to go, unaware that his quiet resilience was rewriting someone else's life story in real time. The billionaire wrestled with herself, knowing that power meant nothing if it could not be used to heal, knowing that the universe had placed her on this flight not by accident but by invitation. For the first time in years, she felt fear, not of loss but of doing nothing. As descent began, a sense of inevitability filled the airplane interior. The single dad felt lighter, as if the sky had taken some of his burden, while the billionaire finally made peace with a decision she could no longer delay. Whatever had been broken could not be undone, but something new could still be built, not from guilt, but from responsibility. When the wheels touched the runway, it was not just a landing, it was a reckoning. If this story is touching something inside you, if it reminds you that lives intersect for reasons we don't always understand, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and let us know your thoughts, because your engagement helps stories of humanity reach hearts that need them. And before the ending fades, we have a special request for you. Comment below what you felt in this airplane scene, because your words may inspire someone else who feels invisible. As passengers stood and gathered their belongings, the single dad took his daughter's hand again, ready to face whatever waited beyond the gate, unaware that the future had quietly shifted behind him. The billionaire watched him walk away, not as a forgotten chapter, but as a living reminder that kindness delayed is kindness denied, and that redemption does not arrive with applause but with action. The airplane emptied, but the impact of that shared space lingered,